want to bring you more on Greece now, a top story throughout the morning. And these are the scenes that gripped Athens as the government teeters on the brink of collapse. That's what we're hearing from some corners. It's one confidence vote away from falling apart, potentially leaving Europe's finances hanging in the balance. I want to talk now to a former advisor to the Greek government. Christos Pitelis is director of the Centre for International Business and Management at Cambridge University. He's also currently head of a leading Greek small business association. Joins me in the studio now, Mr. Pitelis. Good to see you. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
So we're expecting an announcement on a cabinet reshuffle in the next couple of hours. What are your expectations of that?
This is a hard call. Ideally, I would have expected some degree of consensus between the major two parties, and as a result of that, some sort of a government that leverages all the available human resources across the political board. That proved to be more difficult than one might have anticipated or hoped for, and as a result of that, there is a limit to how major changes you can introduce on the basis of the available resources. In addition to this, I'm always concerned with reshuffles in the sense that, having experienced the situation from inside, it often takes a long time to actually learn the job and build the institutional and organizational infrastructure that allows you to get the job done.
Are you speaking about the post of finance minister now?
Well, not necessarily any post, any change of a major ministry actually leads to a situation where for a few months you need to build the infrastructure, organizational, institutional, to bring the right people, and that takes time, and Greece doesn't have time at the moment.
So you're saying that essentially this reshuffle at this point in time, not a good idea, but did the Prime Minister have any choice?
I'm not necessarily saying it's not a good idea in the sense that it had to be done. I mean, that is the only available solution at the moment. I'm saying it's not a perfect solution, and ideally it should have been better if a consensus between at least the two major parties had been reached and some sort of ecumenical government or across-the-board government was being created.
It just seems as though Papandreou has been backed into a corner right now. I mean, you must still have contacts back in Athens, but if you were advising the government right now, what would you tell them?
Well, there is a need to sit down with properly with the major political players within Greece and at the same time with the lenders and devise a more credible and a more workable scheme. I mean, so far, the memorandum has been rather lacking on developmental aspects. It's very good in the sense of tax measures and structural measures.
You're speaking about the austerity package
The
now.
austerity package. It has inbuilt problems, like, for example, increasing almost definitionally the debt to GDP ratio. It increases in tax rates, introduce a situation where people are substituting products, they stop buying. A number of things are happening, and revenues are not increasing in line with expectations. And this is a serious problem that needs to be addressed with some sort of different policies.
But if the austerity plan isn't pushed through, it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, for Greece to seek a new bailout. We're now having Papandreou trying to force this confidence vote in order to build the cross-party consensus that he needs. Do you think that rebel lawmakers will capitulate?
There are a number of possible alternatives. Greece does remain a country with very high, the government owns a lot of property. And by dealing with this issue, not just privatization, but also selling state assets, can help a lot in this direction. But the important thing, I think, is also to reconsider some of the policies of the austerity package. It doesn't seem to be moving in the right direction. That is an important problem.
So do you think Greece will avoid default?
At the moment, unless a proper solution is found, which brings together all the parties, both within Greece and with the major lenders, it's becoming a difficult issue. It is, at the same time, it's not easy to address, but it's not easy solution for the lenders too, because a lot of the Greek debt is owned by foreign institutions, foreign banks, etc., and also Greek banks. So by a default is a very serious problem for everybody at the moment. I don't think that anybody wants it, not anybody needs it. And it's important to address, I think, the developmental issues for not just for Greece, for Europe as well, some of its internal difficulties and the institutional infrastructure that it has put in place, and also its developmental path. I think one of the things I wanted to emphasize is that as Europe, and like Greece, we are too inward looking rather than looking at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that there is a whole geopolitical shift of power and change that is happening. And at some stage we need to decide, where do we want to be in this game, in this new world?
Gosh, and we end on that note. Thank you very much, Mr. Christos Pitelis, Director of the CIBAM at Cambridge University, former advisor to the Greek government, and so great to get your thoughts, your insight on the current situation.